Hello guys, my name is Koushik and welcome back to yet another video in Protractor tutorial. In this video, we are going to learn about dropdowns. So how to interact with the dropdowns and how many ways we can interact with the dropdowns. So basically, dropdowns are usually designed within the select tag. So that means when you click on any dropdown, it is going to give up some submenus. From there, we can select the whatever you want, right? Now, if I go and inspect this, you can see that these values are probably within the select tag. Okay. Now, to identify whether a element is a dropdown or not, you can use the tag name that is select. So within the select, here we can see some options, right? So if I click on this, here you are able to use apple, mango, and orange, right? So these are basically within this options tag, right? So if this is not coming inside an select tag, then we can say that it is not of type dropdown as per the HTML or W3 standard. But in most of the time in Angular applications, we cannot see this select and then followed by the options tag. Rather, we can see something like ng repeater, or maybe we can see like this. For example, if I click on this, here also we are getting the same kind of UI, right? But if I inspect and show you, this is going to be of type button, and within the button they have written some div or tags where we have this eat, sleep, and LetCode, all the values. So the UI looks very similar, but this is actually not a drop down. So we are going to see how to handle the basic drop down with that is within the select tag, and also drop down like this. Okay. um, in Selenium, we know that to handle the drop downs, we have select by index, select by value, select by visible text, and similarly we can use the deselect for all those methods, right? And also there is a method called get options through which I can get or print all the values within the select drop down, right? But unfortunately, in protected API, we do not have that kind of stuff. So we do not have any select class. So here the recommended one is using the CSS containing text. So using the CSS containing text, we can select any dropdown. So let me show you that. So first I have to go to this URL, right? So I'm just going to copy, and here I have a describe block, interact with dropdown, and then I have created a eat block that is select your favorite fruit, right? Now I'm going to use the async and await. So obviously in my conf.js, I have disabled the Selenium promise manager, and also I am using this require so that I can use the import statement. And here I'm using this star as a wildcard so that it I don't need to specify the full file name, rather than I just say like star.spec.js. So it is going to find based on some regular expression, right? We'll see about that regular expression in maybe in some another video. So first thing first, we have to load the URL. So for that I'm going to use browser dot get is the method to load the URL. I believe you remember all this. And obviously we are using the async and await. So before each and every line, I have to use the await keyword, and I have to make my function as async, right? After that, I'm just going to find the element unique locator for that dropdown. So let me inspect that. And here I can see that it has ID with index. So let me check once. So how do we check this? We can use the CSS selector, so star hashtag. Okay, so this is going to be unique, so I'm just going to use the jQuery symbol, that is the dollar symbol, and here I'm going to say this value, right? So that means we are able to get the ID. Okay, this is again equivalent of like element then followed by dot id, and within the id we have to pass this index, right? So both are technically same. Only difference is like you have to specify the id within this lines, whereas we are using this dollar symbol so that it is like shorthand operator for your css locator. Okay, so that's fine. Now let's move on. So I'm just going to store this maybe in a variable. So here I'm going to say let maybe select, I can say, okay, and let me just bring this down. Yeah, okay. So here what we are going to do is we are going to um, click on this apple. Okay, actually I no need to find this one, so let me comment this. I can straight away find using the option tag. Okay, so here we know that it has an option, and here we have the text, right? So I'm going to use the css containing text here. So element dot not dot, so element within the bracket by dot css containing text. So I have to import the by first, so that's so that I will get all the suggestions, and then dot css containing text, and here I'm going to pass the apple as a value, right? So that's fine. Now what we want to do with this, so once we found that, we have to click on this, right? So dot click is the method here, and I'm just going to add the await keyword. Okay, now let's try to run this. So that's it. It's going to be very pretty much easy. So let me show you the code. So here we are launching the url, then we are finding the css containing text using apple, and then we are going to click on that. Now it is going to execute very fast, so I'm just going to add browser.sleep so that you can see the changes, right? So here maybe around 5 seconds, and here also I have to use the keyword await. So it's going to launch my browser, and it's going to load the URL, and then it is going to select the Apple. Okay, so we got some exception. Let's see what happening here. So cannot read property index of null. Okay, so let's see what happened. Okay, so in CSS containing text, we have to pass two arguments. Sorry for that. The first one is the tag name. You have to pass which tag name, and then you have to pass the text value, right? So here we know that this is going to be inside the option tag, right? So I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Okay, now this is going to fix for sure, but let me show you what is the exact syntax error you are getting. Okay, so here it says that failed, and here it says that javascript error cannot read property index of null. That means we are asking to find the text called apple, but we are not saying in which tag the text apple relies on, right? So obviously it is going to be in the option tag, so we have to specify that as well. Whenever you are going to get some exception, do not just close and simply run again. Rather, just look at the exception and understand what it is telling us. Most of the time, compiler can give us the most of the hints, like what the exact wrong thing we are doing. Okay, so always read the exception, then move forward. So I'm just going to clear my terminal, and here I'm going to run this again. So you got it, right? So after the 5 seconds, the browser is going to close by default, right? Yeah. So we can see that one spec and zero failures, and here we are getting green dot. That means our Jasmine spec has been passed, right? Now let me close this. Okay. So we learned how to use the CSS containing text. So one thing you have to remember, you have to pass the tag name and then followed by the apple. And it is not like you have to pass the option, and not this is not exactly for only for drop downs. You can use it for any other fields, any other tags that has text. Okay, and dot click to obviously click on that element, right? So this is fine. Now let's see in another way how we can do. So there are plenty of ways. I can say you can find the X path and you can click on that, or you can just find any unique locators and you can do that. That's not going to be a problem. But let me show you one thing, right? So here if I go to the semantic UI website, here you can see it looks like a drop down, but actually this is not a drop down. Okay, for example, let's take the simple one. So here we can see when we click on this, we are getting male and female, but it looks like a drop down, right? But if I right click and inspect, you can see this is not a drop down because it's not in the select tag, rather it's in the div tag, and within the div tag we have some inputs, then div, then followed by the gender, and here I can see it has this male and female value, right? Now in this type of drop down UI, I can say, not the exact drop downs, if I use the css containing text and then if I go on click on this female, this is not going to work. Let me show you why. So I'm just going to create another it block. Okay, and I don't want to run this it block, so obviously I can make this as an as a x, so it is going to disable at the moment, right? Now here I have to make this function as async, obviously, and here I'm going to load my browser, so browser dot get, and within the get I have to pass the URL that is going to be this. Let me copy and paste, and here also I'm going to await. Okay, and then okay, so here we have this class item and we have this female, right? So I'm just going to use this class value, so let me copy, and here let me use this, so await, and then I can say element, and here by dot css containing text, and within this I have to pass my what's this, so item, right? So I can say div dot item, and then I can pass the value that is going to be of female, right? So let me copy and paste, and then we have to do the click action, right? So I'm just going to click. Okay, please remember this is xit, that means it is not going to run, it is going to be skipped, whereas we are going to get the second it block. Okay, so the URL has been loaded, and it's still waiting. Now we will get an error. Okay, yeah, so as expected we got an error, and it says that two specs where we have one failure and one pending. So pending is this guy, so xid, and this one failure is this it block. Let me show you why. So here we can see that it says, giving us a message saying that Angular could not found on this page. Okay, that means this semantic UI is not of Angular page. It is just HTML or maybe some other Java application or something else, but not this. This is not the Angular application. So in Protractor, we cannot interact with the non-Angular application directly, but of course there is a way. So first let us understand how to know whether this application is Angular or not. So for that I'm going to use window.angular, and if I type like this, it should give me some suggestions. Based on that we can find. Okay, so here we can see that it is not going to give us this any object, right? But if I go to this site called this protected demo site, if I go and inspect, and here if I just go and type window.angular, here I am able to get this some element and bootstrap and some values, right? That means this is going to be your Angular application. But if you see our LetCode application, here also I cannot like window.angular, I will not get anything. Okay, the reason is I'm using the latest version of Angular 9 where that is not possible, but yes, you can use that get all Angular root elements. So if this is going to return us something like this, obviously it is an Angular application. And also we can find like if I go to this top level of this body, so here we can find this app hyphen root. Okay, that means it's an Angular application. And apart from this, there is also another way, which is going to be using a Chrome extension. Um, that name is Wappalyzer, I believe. So let me search. So based on this also you can find what the technology is. Okay, so I'm just going to enable this quickly, and if I go and refresh here, I can see that even without opening the console, I can see that it's of type AngularJS, which is the first version, I think 1.3.0. And this semantic UI, I believe it's, let me refresh this page. And this is going to be on Ruby, so they are using the Ruby. And LetCode, if you see, this is going to be of Angular 9. Okay, so it's Angular 9.1.1. Okay, so we are on the latest version of Angular. Okay, so you can find in three ways, either using windows.angular or using windows.get all root elements, or even using the inspect you can find this app hyphen root, and the last way is using the browser extension. Okay, that is Wappalyzer. That's fine. Now let's move on to the drop down. So how do we handle this? So we have to say that browser dot wait for angular enable equal to false. Okay, that means basically what we are doing is we are asking the browser, I mean the Protractor API, to not wait and synchronize till the angular elements to be found. Okay, rather whatever the element I'm going to pass, you take on that. Okay, so let me clear the console and let me run again. Okay, so the page has been loaded successfully, and then we are expecting to get click on the female, but we are getting error. Let's see why again. And it says that element not interactable, that is expected. Why? Let me show you. So what we are asking to do is, once you go to this website, we are asking to click on this female, right? But that's not possible, because when this female is going to appear, once we click on this gender, right, once we click on this is going to appear, right? But you can ask me, but in the last time we did the same for the fruits, where we just click on this mango or apple directly without clicking on this. That's possible because this is of type drop down. Okay, for example, I can just click here and I can type anything that is going to select using my keyboard, right? So that works by default. That is how drop down has been designed. But in this case, this is not going to be your drop down, right? So obviously we have to click on this first, then we have to click on this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the unique locator for that. So let me inspect this, and here I can see that UI is select drop down. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and let me convert this to a CSS value. Okay, so the first one should be also dot. So again we are getting around 38, but I think this is going to be a first match. So let me just copy and paste. So once we load the browser, here we can see, here we can use element, or I can use the jQuery. So I mean the dollar symbol, and here I can say dot click, and after that I can select that value, right? But again, if I run this, I will get error exception, because once I click on this drop down, it's taking few seconds to load this little pop-up, right? So we are going to wait for that. Obviously we have to use the wait concept, but as of now I'm just going to use the browser.sleep. We learn the wait concept in later on videos. So browser.sleep, and here I'm going to say maybe 2 seconds is fine, I believe. So let's await. Okay, now let me clear my console and run it again for you. Okay, so we got this test as pass, right? So here we can see css containing text, the first result will be used. Okay, whenever there is going to be multiple elements, it is always going to interact with the first element, right? So the learning here is, if you have select class select tag, you can use the css containing text, then pass the option, then pass the um, expected text, right? And then just use the click, so it will get clicked. And in some scenario like this, which might look like drop down, but that's not going to drop down, so basically you have to click on that um, layer, and then you have to click on the sub layer. Okay, so that's going to work fine for you. And in some scenarios, let's assume that we want to print all the values, then obviously we can look through each and every element, and then we can do that. But I will not recommend you to look through each and every value and then based on some if condition or any condition statement, you no need to click on that, because that is time consuming, and as well the performance is going to decrease. So I will not recommend you to do that in that way. Probably you can use the css containing text or like this. Okay, now you might ask me, Kaushik, if what will happen if there is a duplicate of apples or any other value, right? Most of the time, drop downs are not going to be unique, but yeah, at sometimes it can be duplicate as well. So anyhow, you have to find the unique locator for that. Okay, it can be either CSS or XPath or whatever it is. Okay, but remember, see, in CSS containing text, we can pass only the tag name or any valid css value, not the xpath. So if it's going to be xpath, means obviously you have to find the xpath, then you have to pass the value like this. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you, and that's all about dropdown. If you have any queries, you can leave that in the comment section. Maybe based on that I can make another video. Thanks guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one very soon.